Hello and welcome back to the NLC. We're getting ready to go into our first game here and our last day of the crossplay. This is going to be Godsent from Group B versus Dusty from Group A. Dusty found their footing with a win over Fnatic Rising and also been able to take a win versus Kova. Jamada, everyone else is kind of going towards Godsent going into this game. And I think it was me and Trouble who went Dusty, actually. I'm a bit of a believer just because of that Fnatic win. What do you think Godsent have got over Dusty?
I just think that they've been looking a lot better over the last couple of weeks. I also, in general, I feel like we just had their recent games on screen. They've been playing some really, really tough opponents, but they've still been putting out pretty presentable performances in my eyes. And it finally culminated in a win against Granite, who, yes, middle of the pack, yes. But I just think, in general, they have been looking so much better. We had Yuso on the interview. He even said, we finally feel like we've started to click a bit. And that's a really important thing. So now against a team like Dusty, who is struggling, and yes, they picked up a win yesterday, I feel like if Godsent are on form, even if Dusty are on form, which they've kind of shown they can be, but they're just a bit too inconsistent for me still, I feel like Godsent should be able to take this one.
You know, I'm going to fight you, Jamada, because I feel the same way about Dusty too. I felt like the individual talent is there. We've seen their pop-up performances. If it clicks, it does really click for Dusty. And yesterday, like, Sawyer on that Diana was absolutely unleashed. And we saw like the rest of the team following up on that performance as well. So I believe that these two teams, when they're on the good day, they can definitely go toe-to-toe.
Oh, the pick and bans rattling through. We had the Ezreal Fresh, the Gwen, the Senna, and the Xin Zhao band away. First pick here is going to be that Karma for the side of Godsent. Now, Dusty, they could answer in kind of something like a Lulu if they want and just having a chance at top lane, or maybe something a little bit more explosive.
Yeah, gotta see that Akali. I'm not too surprised to see it locked in. Of course, I mean, 610 yesterday had a pretty fun time with it, so we'll have to see what the answer will be there. In the mid lane over the Karma's just going to be matched into it because, of course, you should be able to get priority, and then you can tether her, so she can't really shroud and feel too safe. Dusty, gonna just round it out, I would imagine, yeah, with that lock-in of the Nocturne, and you've already got the foundations of a very, very strong dive comp. So now I look over to Godsent and I say, how are you going to respond? Are you going to pull out something that's, very defensive, like a Tahm Kench plus, Varus lane? Are you going to try and sort of maybe match some more melee champions like Set or Viego into it? What's the answer going to be?
Yeah, that's what we're thinking as well. Like Set, Viego, Rumble, and Diana, they've got first dips on the jungle here as well. I don't necessarily think that from Dusty's side, they need to actually force a jungler yet until they see what Godsent are going to go for in the first 3 picks, but the Renekton has completely gone by the entire draft. He does really well into the Nocturne, does really well into the Akali as well, and they also have the Kindred because the double assassination coming in from Dusty with the mixed damage profile is going to be extremely deadly.
Nice
blind Kindred? I don't know.
I quite like the Kindred. Everyone dives in, you go, no one dies here, and you just put that down. I'm curious about what they're going to be able to pick it as a jungler into it, because it still feels like, sure, the Xin Zhao's been taken away, but there are still plenty of decent junglers up. Looks like their attention is going to go more towards the AD carry, as MTES is going to get his hands on the Varus. We actually saw a couple of different Varus styles coming up, as we did see a on-hit Varus recently, so potentially could look towards that. As we go into the second ban phase, expect to see a Dusty just take away some AD carry, some things that can kind of deal with this Varus. Kai'Sa's still up, so maybe that's going to rear its head here. The Tristana as well. There's plenty of things they could look to ban away.
Yeah, we'll have to see exactly what they want to remove for now. And Irelia ban actually comes out, which I guess just strictly targeted at the solo lanes. I'm not really sure if 610 is a crazy big Irelia player, but obviously Dusty knows something that we do not, or at least I do not. But yeah, like you say, Godsent, I think you just strip away the junglers. Stuff like the Fiddlesticks is obviously very good, especially with the Nocturne. If you want to remove away another diving factor in the Diana, you can. The Rumble is also fine too. But you've got the Kindred armor, so you don't really have to be scared of a lot of these crazy big diving factors anymore. If I was Godsent, honestly, I would maybe be just removing away strong pairings for the Varus, in all honesty, even though you still have your support to pick. I feel like if you know what supports you don't necessarily want to pick up, you could have gone down that route. But for now, Dusty on that Orianna, I think that's also a pretty good shout. All of the zone control and the sort of area control that you have with the Kindred armor plus Kindred, you don't want to stack an Orianna on top of that. I'll have to deal with it as a diving composition.
And honestly, I'm quite surprised with the AP jungle ban. I know it pairs really well with the Godsent, but then you have an Akali. You definitely don't want to have like two APs, one in the middle and one in the jungle. It makes it really easy to itemize. The mercs are going to pop out really fast. And honestly, I just really like from Dusty, even though the red side and they have the reply and the counter pick as last pick, they still have the flex, the Nocturne and the Lee Sin. You won't know where they're going until the very last second. And I would say that I'm not necessarily seeing the Lee Sin to go into the lane where Renekton lands. So I'm thinking that possibly the Lee Sin is the jungler here and we're going to have Renekton as a laner.
Yeah, I 100% agree because Renekton, one of the few laners that can really, really manhandle the Lee Sin inside the lane. And not only that, Sawyer is a bit of an old school Lee Sin player himself. So I'd imagine we just see that Nocturne in the lane with the Akali, up in the mid lane with Warzy, and Sawyer will be piloting the Lee. So let's see what the AD character is going to be. It's going to be Jhin, so it's going to be a bit of a facilitator, someone that can sort of kite back and then also on the re-engage, maybe go for some curtain calls and set up for some picks with the rest of his team. And over to Dusty, what's the support going to be now? Because you know Karma's in the bottom lane. You've got the aggressive pick of Leona if you really want it, and I feel like that would maybe be the strongest pick here for Baloo, in all honesty, and there you go.
Okay, so from the side of Godsent, they've got such a powerful top side of the map and perma prio down the bot lane as well, because any melee support really suffers against Karma and her poke. Jhin is going to be more than safe playing way far back in the lane, also having shield throw the poke coming in from the Varus. So I'm thinking this is going to be an absolute fiesta when it comes to the top side of the map, with both aesthetic trying to find Sawyer and Sawyer trying to find the openings in an Akali and a Nocturne. Get one of the two assassins ahead, you can possibly snowball the game.
Any closing thoughts on the draft, Jamada? What are you liking? What are you disliking here?
I mean, I think for me, I look at Dusty's comp and I say it's very, on theme with one another. I think they have a pretty clear identity. I think with Godsent, a little more versatile, probably looking into skirmishing, but I think more than anything, just holding their ground, waiting for Dusty to come into them and then responding as appropriately as they can.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think it's going to be a pretty good game, actually, and it's time for us to pass it over to our casters, Initialize and Orcs. Over to you guys.
Thank you so much, Jake. Pleasure to be here. I'm Initialize. I'm joined by Orcs. How are you doing, mate?
Pretty good, pretty hyped. Got the longest NLC day yet on our hands for the regular season, so a lot to get through, but already starting off with a game that I think, even though these teams at the lower end of the table, pretty closely matched, as Giannis sort of talked about.
Yeah, absolutely. It's an interesting one. Both these teams now stuck at 2-8. They really want to get out of that potential relegation zone. They're kind of against equal members, even if they're in opposite groups. This is kind of a must-win game.
Yeah, absolutely. And I feel like it's kind of getting to the point where the focus is shifting. It is towards more the relegation. You're at the point where the top end of the table have kind of solidified their spots, and it would take like an absolute miracle to get there. And at this point, every win is just so valuable. And we've seen that in previous seasons where, Norvin, for example, during last season, it was one win difference between them being in relegations and then making playoffs. And obviously they made that huge run. Won't quite be as easy to do that, obviously, since you have less playoff spots, but definitely just a small amount of points can make a huge difference with avoiding that relegation spot.
Massively true. Who will not be helping with avoiding that relegation spot is Tom Kent, who's not on the Rift, and of course has been reworked now as well. But 100% win rate over 6 games, not bad there. Nice little insight coming through at the beginning of the game, and just a bit of a 5-man fan, not seeing anything too crazy, Orcs.
Yeah, and I think information's going to be key here for both sides. With Aesthetic on the Kindred, tracking him, denying his marks, very important. And actually, I spoke to Yusa a little bit about this, and Aesthetic is a bit of a sort of Kindred savant. And he actually believes that the champion's basically uncounterable. He's that confident on it.
Really?
So, yeah, he's a very strong believer in the champion. Honestly, I feel like if you're going to pick it, this is a pretty good place to pick it when the enemy team has so much dive. And obviously you have this really strong extended fight composition. You get so much value from the Silas healing, the Renekton healing, the Karma shields. So as long as Aesthetic can get a bit of a lead for himself and get some stacks, they should feel pretty comfortable.
Well, you heard it. If they can keep the healing going, if they can prevent the dive, that should be good to watch. I've just got my eye on the Lee Sin, of course, because the one thing Kindred really hates, displacement, and that's what the Dragon's Rage can do. So my eyes on Sawyer as well to see whether he can mess with the Kindred ult. But already, Yusa and Svene just kind of poking out and trying to get control of this bottom wave.
Yeah, and that's a big factor as well is priority. You know, whenever you're playing a champion like Kindred, where you really need to be contesting camps in not so ideal places, obviously, a big factor is having lanes that can move to assist you, and having the Karma in this bot lane obviously puts you in a position where you're going to have priority. Silas in the mid lane, also something that will feel comfortable. So we can see that from where Aesthetic started. He started on the top side of the map. He'll be passing down towards bot, and by the time he gets there, his lane should be in a comfortable place to just help him out.
Yeah, we are in a brief game pause here, waiting on word for production to see what's going on there. Sadly, I'm shy of Kit Kat Orcs, but the rest of you, you've got a chance. Go take that quick break while we get to be on camera for a bit. Liking the beard, by the way, today, mate. It's looking.
Thank you. Yeah, I don't really know what I'm doing with it. I like try and fix it. I try and like neaten it up, and then I'm just like, whatever.
Whatever.
You know?
Yeah, that's the one. Been there, done that. It's always a bit of a nightmare. Decisions to make. Maybe we should instead turn back to game. Who are you expecting kind of to be making the early moves here, as actually we're straight back onto the Rift, so you can answer that with the aid of the visuals of Summoner's Rift to back you up.
So I think Aesthetic is one we expect to be sort of pushing to contest these marks early and set himself up. Lee Sin, obviously a strong early champion, but into the matchup against Kindred, it's actually a little bit tricky because of that high mobility. Being able to dash so much makes it hard to land that Q. But obviously, if you do catch Aesthetic in a compromised position and you get on top of him, you can have a good time. But mostly in this early game, I expect to see Aesthetic going towards that bot side scuttle, Sawyer going towards that top side scuttle, and then we'll see what happens there, because I feel like maybe Sawyer might attempt to apply some more pressure into Kubo in the top lane. They do have that priority there to maybe set up a dive, but I think it's a little bit risky trying to dive him next to early, especially as Zombie didn't opt for the ignite in this situation.
Yeah, that's always a bit of a risk going against Renekton. If he stuns you with something empowered available to him, it gets a bit nasty. Either way, you're absolutely right. Kindred's just heading in there to see whether there's a ward to place down, but we'll back over towards the bot side Skull Crabbers. I'm sure Sawyer on the Lee Sin will think the exact same. Sadly, does not coin flip well enough this time around. Can't gamble appropriately on Kindred. Does not get the marks falling bot side. Instead, maybe a dive here, mate.
Yeah, going for a bit of an aggressive play. They should be able to pull this off.
All right, well, that's the double mantra Q into the roots. The teleports are coming through, but Aesthetic has been rooted. Now having a flash away, the guys coming through, hopping away with the Dance of Arrows, but now 610 is in danger, man. Just get over the wall and buffers his way out, and nobody somehow dies there. Aesthetic got pretty close, but Summoner's burned, and everyone stays with their health bars roughly intact.
Yeah, and honestly, not a great start for Godsent. Aesthetic losing the RNG on the mark, and then in that dive, honestly, great decision making from Blue there to instantly jump under Aesthetic. Didn't even give the window for Godsent to set up, and obviously Warzy TPing in, really mitigating that dive. So solid defensive play coming out from Dusty there.
Seems to be so. Of course, Warzy does have to trade some of that wave pressure, of course, with the teleport, but with 610 having taken the roam, it's all kind of matched up. And at least gold-wise, everything kind of left much where it was, unsurprising this early into the game. And have to see whether Kindred can recover from having the flash down. Sawyer finds at any point now. Could get a touch scary. All right.
Yeah, I think Vene just there to offer potential assistance, but I feel like realistically 610 probably just looking to push the wave in so he can get a reset. Mana running a bit low.
Yeah, it seems to be that way, and there Karma just hops forward to do exactly that, offer a little bit of wave pressure. But Baloo's actually here alongside M-Test, just kind of reading that play, and Sawyer just going to ward hop forwards and keep going in. Vene's so low, but doesn't actually fall, manages to walk away there, holds on to the summoner. Braver man than me.
Yeah, but it's an interesting move coming out from Dusty. They opt to bring their entire bot lane mid after the reset, force priority with 4 members, which is obviously impossible for Godsent to contest in that position, and then rotate over that dragon. So pretty smart move. And despite the fact they're kind of struggling for bot priority, by forcing that advantage, they're able to pick up that dragon pretty early on.
And that's a nice early one. 5.5 minutes in is definitely nice and early. Second drake will be a cloud one, so we're looking at either an Infernal or a Mountain Rift. Both of which would be, I feel, pretty good for both of these sides. Varus in particular would really like not to be into a Mountain Soul if he can get away with that.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like Infernal would really benefit Dusty. I mean, Infernal's is such a good dragon. I feel like any team that gets it's not going to complain. But I feel like Godsent having the Mountain, especially when you're against Dive, has so much value. The poke as well is a massive factor, but just the extra HP, although he didn't engage.
finds himself a fairly decent use of the Sonic Wave, teleport in response, and it's looking like we're not going to see too much more Blues roaming over, but that's Paranoia. They're going to teleport in with this as well. They're looking to chase people off very hard, but Paranoia and teleport burned without going in from Zombie.
Yeah, so a pretty heavy commit to sort of defend on the back of that one, but both top laners end up moving in. We'll just reset, and still no kills in this game, despite both teams, testing these opportunities. We do now see Kindred's second mark spawning on the top side of the scuttle. Already 610 is in position. They're trying to secure the area, but Aesthetic is nowhere near right now, so may even be gone before he gets there.
Yusa and Svene just hanging around in this bush as well as that Kindred mark is spawning. They really want to go for this. They've knocked back. Was quite low mana on Yusa all the same. Still thinking about this. There's the tether. Going to get the root through. Not way much way out of that one. Zenith Blade is cleansed away from. Aesthetic is now hopping down as well. Looking to head forwards. Heal now pop. Continuing to go forwards. It's not a mark, but first blood all the way goes to Yusa.
Yeah, I mean, it just ended up playing the game with the rush, waiting for long enough, and then the root setup from Svene. Dusty really had to commit to that fight to try and get a kill. They kind of realized that was the only option, but unable to find it on the back end. But again, Aesthetic doesn't pick up a mark there, has his mark set on Sawyer, and obviously that scuttle on the top side taken. So in terms of achieving those, not really hitting the mark, but nice to be able to pick up that kill for Yusa in the early game regardless.
Definitely is. The times the charm going bot side. There weren't enough teleports to respond finally, and someone goes down towards the bot side of the mark. Of course, Sawyer did go for the invade and steal away the blue, and can now look to maybe punish 610, who's gone very aggressive in mid lane. So, of course, got themselves their own ways out, but Sawyer lands the Sonic Wave and the resonating strike anyway. Too over-aggressive in mid lane from the Godsent mid.
Yeah, and I think maybe Svene's presence being relatively nearby maybe gave 610 the confidence there, but you have to respect the burst potential of this Akali Lee Sin combo. It's a really strong mid-jungle 2v2, and I'm glad to see Sawyer playing around that and trying to provide pressure, because now he's using that to move straight over that Rift Herald. But big difference is that Godsent have moved their AD carry up in this situation, so they are still even in numbers on this side of the map.
Paranoia's not quite up for Zombie yet. That could be a difference maker. Warzy spotted out by the captive audience. Held in place afterwards to make that more apt. Aesthetic, though, does manage to secure the Rift Herald, and Godsent get out without a fight breaking out.
Yeah, I think it was the right decision from Dusty, though. Paranoia wasn't quite up and available, but critically, Warzy with no ultimate as well is a lot less valuable. So I think making the right call to back off, but a little bit unfortunate. Obviously, Godsent getting the Herald definitely going to help them move towards that sort of later game win conditions.
Yeah, and you could see they really wanted that. Would have been lovely for Sawyer as well, because then they could have used it to pressure around the second Drake, keep that stacking up. Alas, won't be an option for Dusty. Instead, Godsent have that, and with that second Drake I just mentioned coming up in a minute or so, they could look to use that Herald for pressure and buy themselves some space for the Drake.
Absolutely. I feel like they have options. A lot of teams we see throw just the Herald down mid lane to take two plates, and then you lower it enough that the second Herald will take it down, which is a pretty common option. And I think you could definitely do now up against Akali. It's very easy to build a wave up against her and obviously use it in that scenario. Bot is also an option. Has been a little bit lower HP, but I think mid would be what I'm looking towards. But for now, see Aesthetic actually on the top side of the map. His mark is going to spawn on this top side scuttle, so wants to be in position to finally collect one.
Really, really love to get those. I remember Zyrene all those years ago saying that the kind of gold standard for Kindred was 4 marks by 18 minutes. As it stands, I believe Aesthetic is still sat at, I want to say 0. Not actually sure how many they've got. Not been paying enough attention, which is shocking considering how much I play of Kindred. 1 mark already, so clearly not paying enough attention.
Yeah, did just pick that one up there as well off that top side scuttle, so definitely not an ideal position, but still room. And obviously the 4th stack is that big spike. You get like a massive amount of extra range. Hitting that is great. Anything extra is kind of like a luxury, but that's kind of like the bare minimum. Sort of like not quite as extreme, but kind of like Kane's evolution in terms of like you want to hit that point and then you really feel like you've come online as a champion.
Oh, Dusty just hanging around in that bush, waiting to see whether the Herald got drops and they could punish. Zombies roam down as well. Now potentially in a spot of bother. Going to get rooted in place as well. The curtain call comes through. Does my spell shield 1, but not the second. And Nocturne is shut down.
Yeah, honestly, Zombie just caught strolling in the jungle right there. Didn't have the pressure. And you saw Dusty were kind of leaning all that pressure to the bot side of the map. So not really sure what Zombie's game plan was showing up there. And this has actually opened up a window where not only is Kubo able to apply some pressure top, but we have that mark spawning on the top side as well that Aesthetic could be in a position to take. I think, though, the priority is to take this first tower here.
Yeah, may well be that exactly. Of course, with Kindred roaming towards the top side of the map, yeah, no chance for them to contest for the dragon, and instead they will just look to get all those plates and drop the Herald, as you stated.
Yeah, we see on the opposite side of the map, Dusty had all that pressure they were setting up around the dragon to secure it. They are going to be able to apply pressure to this tower, but obviously without the Herald, it's much slower. They won't be able to take it anytime soon. And Godsent likely just to push this Herald in and secure second charge, but used to potentially in a volatile spot here.
Definitely is. Sawyer's been hitting a lot of his Sonic Waves at this game. Warzy going in as well, trying to play ads as best they can, but there is no way out. Easy shutdown for the side of the Akali. Ignite burn, but nothing else.
Yeah, it's just some really weird lane assignments in this situation where you end up having your AD carry alone isolated in the mid lane and in a position where you have no vision coverage on that bot side jungle, so no protection from a flank like that, because realistically there was very little Yusa could do in that scenario. Just gets annihilated, but it's still Godsent coming out with the overall advantage in terms of gold thanks to taking that tower, but it's pretty close. And Dusty have that 2-dragon advantage. It is going to be a Mountain Soul, but they're already in a pretty comfortable spot to be aiming for about, 21-minute Dragon Soul if they're able to secure the next 2.
Yeah. Quick correction from my end as well. Of course, Sawyer did burn the flash there as well, so apologies for that one. Sounded nice.
God, making mistakes your first days.
I know. I'm supposed to be perfect, mate, and this is the way it is, I'm never coming back. This is it.
Yeah,
it's all over.
casters aren't allowed to make mistakes. They have to be flawless.
I mean, I emulate myself on how perfect you are, Orcs, So if I can't reach that standard, what am I going to do?
There's the sweet talk. You're doing a good job here. Maybe there is a space for you on the broadcast.
Oh, boy. Well, that's the way it works. You got to, make nice with your superior, so to speak, but Warzy is in a 2v1 and would like to not make nice with that bot lane right now, still waiting on the ultimate cooldown before really want to consider anything resembling over-aggression, and instead just plays up the wave.
I really like this movement coming out from Sawyer and Blue, though. They're pairing up really effectively as a support jungle duo, and this is something that I kind of use to separate the decent teams from the really good teams, is how well their jungle support pair up. So considering Dusty have had such a rough split, it's good to see these things that they're doing well in this scenario, because having the CZ from Leona, the damage from Lee Sin, it's really threatening if anyone does step up into your face. And obviously you have a lot more safety than moving around solo. And now Godsent are kind of testing the waters, wanting to re-establish that area, but if they get caught out, could be in trouble.
Absolutely that, and that was, you could see the hesitation of walking into their red side jungle right now, and a little bit afraid is Baloo, and Sawyer doing exactly what you said and paired up. Vara's going to fire out that empowered piercing arrow as well. Curtain Call was used by the side of Yusa. Not much more used aside from that, and we're left with no one dying, which I feel like I've said quite a lot this game, Orcs.
Yeah, I mean, we've had a lot of little skirmishes that haven't really resulted in anything. Just testing the waters. Oh, as I say that.
Ooh, that is a big change of corruption. Didn't even need the paranoia, just goes down before it all. And that's a minute and a half till Dragon, so we'll be up for that at least, but easy pickup by Dusty.
Yeah, and I like the capitalization there from MTest. One of the big things with his Godsent composition is the more members are grouped up, the harder it becomes to take them out, because you have, the AoE shielding from Zvenna gets a lot more value. You have the Kindred ult. You can isolate members.
Aesthetic goes for the flash in, looking to get on to Zombie. What's in his head? Well, it turns out a few arrows from Kindred. And Cranberry's reference is all about.
And critically a mark as well for the Kindred. I believe at 3 now. If I've been keeping track yet.
Yes, you
at
have.
That third point, so not quite 4, but getting there. Aesthetic, and still 3 minutes to go before that 18 minutes point. So hopefully we'll be able to hit that relatively soon. But for now, just going to prioritize the Herald. And this is the thing, when Godsent can set up for an objective, when they are grouped together, they get so much value out of the Kindred ult, out of the Karma AoE shielding. Dusty are really looking for these opportunities where someone is isolated, where they can pick them off quickly before the rest of the team is able to fly in. And I think, honestly, the Nocturne's really valuable in that sense of the paranoia, but obviously when alone can be picked off and isolated. Now, Dusty have control of the Dragon area and have the vision set up. It's up to Godsent to push in.
Zombies on the top side of the map as well with the teleport could come through. 610 did get chunked out and does not have the teleport, of course. He is a Silas, and so could potentially just recall or rather go heal on the Raps and come back. Decides on the reset. Second Herald was used mid, but didn't secure the tower. Instead, Godsent will look to take position around this Drake pit. Dusty, though, I'm sure do not want to give this up. This will be Mountain Soul point. And Baloo goes in. That'll be Dominus in trade from Kubu. And out comes the curtain call as well. Sawyer trying to dash in, and out goes in Warzy, but that'll be the Lambs despite buying space, preventing the dive. And Aesthetic stays alive for now, but desperately low. Kubu in the bush trying to heal up, but MTES gets the kill anyway. Now 610 trying to retreat, does not die to the final arrow from Varus. A lot of low health bars, particularly on Godsent's side. And the man advantage right now for Dusty.
Yeah, and Paranoia's actually come back up, so Godsent have to be really careful in this situation. I think they are just backing off right now, but the bot lane's still way too close.
They want to play this. That is so low. Just the recast on the E takes him out. Shurikens for days. Zombie comes across with the Paranoia and forces the flash out of Yusa. And they lose another member and don't get the dragon either. Soul point to Dusty, now firmly in command of this game, even if the gold is even.
Yeah, really nice execution there from Dusty. And Godsent, you can see how desperate they were to stop this soul stacking from coming in, but unable to carry through the fight, and then just a bit of an overcommit at the end. We're going to see the replay, and this is actually just a replay of the end of the fight. But yeah, I mean, no reason for Godsent's bot lane to be this close at this point. You're not contesting the dragon. It ends with Karma going down, and then with the Paranoia up again, Yusa also losing that flash. But kind of in the fight, what happened was we saw, Kubu went way too far forwards, kind of isolated and alone. And we wanted to see Godsent a bit more grouped and getting a lot of value out of these sort of AoE shields out of the Kindred ultimate. But it kind of felt like this back and forth, jumping in and out play style benefited Dusty a lot more, particularly things like the Lee Sin and the Akali, and obviously the poke from Varus. So Godsent feels like they weren't really on the same page with how to play this out.
Yeah, Dusty managed to pop the Lamb's fight and then find the fight afterwards anyway, which is a pretty big deal for them. Sawyer still now 2-0-2, got themselves the Gore Drain Gate. It's Proto Belt, or sorry, Rocket Belt. Still get that confused on the Akali for Warzy. Prowler's Claw done for MTES. It's kind of matched on the other side, of course, by Godsent, but just that dragon stacking is making things really scary right now.
Yeah, and I mean, it essentially forces you not only to take the next dragon fight, but to convincingly win it and deny that soul. Because particularly with a dragon soul this early, Mountain does a lot, because at this point, you don't really have enough damage to cut through the extra shielding. You're already sort of like, you'll be at a 2 item point for most of the champions in the game.
Yeah.
And that extra flat shield can just make such a massive difference. Whereas obviously later in the game, when Yusa's, doing 1,000 damage crits or whatever, it's not as much of a concern, but definitely a big spike that Dusty can use to sort of get a big advantage in this game. So Godsent in a pretty delicate spot right now. We do see actually, I think Aesthetic should be picking up his 4th mark here on the bot side. Able to force Zombie away to get this one.
Yeah,
has picked that up, so big spike there.
Yeah, it does get it. It's a minute or so late, but we'll forgive them that. Aesthetic, 100% kill involvement. Has had a couple really nice ganks, particularly towards Zombie. I mean, he could well be someone that Godsent look to be a carry the later this game goes on, but as now the towers start falling in the side lane, Dusty, as we said, it's looking like Godsent need to be the ones to find some answers as they do at least trade towers towards the bot side, and Aesthetic continues to roam around.
Yeah, there's a lot of trading and sort of those structures, but teams keep them relatively even. I feel like now Godsent are in a kind of comfortable position because they were playing around the bot side of the map. Dragon spawning in 2 minutes, and as much as teams tend to sort of aim to be in position and warding it, a minute and a half, minute before, having that vision early means you have a position like this where Svene can reset, restock on wards, head back out, and then sort of reapply that vision and make sure that when wards are cleared, you have backup wards to place them down. Because again, this fight is going to be vital. That was a misclick, no doubt.
That was the Silas who'd stolen that.
Oh,
I think,
sorry.
not
Never mind.
Zombie. That was always confusing, but I just saw it go on cooldown. It went blue, not red. So it's like stolen ultimates make everything so confusing.
I guess
you're
that's me
making
off
my
the show,
colorcaster paranoid. Stop it, 610.
Yeah, that's me off the show, and I made a mistake. So I guess this is my last day.
My heroes are all falling apart in front of me. How could you all?
Yeah, it's a disgrace. But bit of an engage coming in.
That's a lot of roots here. Everfrost into the W from Jin Deadly. Flourish. Still not enough damage though because Leona W Eclipse just so much tankiness.
but 2 critical ults going down. They are coming back off cooldown pretty quickly, but in terms of getting in position to sort of contest this vision, being down those ultimates takes a lot of the power away from Dusty, so feels like Godsent done a good job of getting firm control of this area, and they absolutely need that. They have to secure this dragon and deny it away from Dusty. And at this point of the game, 20 minutes in, if there's a very strong team fight win, if it's a 5-0 or like a 4-for-1, 5-for-1, we could see Baron coming out after this.
Yusa maybe in danger, gonna get flashed on the tower, but now Sawyer is gonna try and get out. What a flash kick! Deciding to get too much Synthetic, just goes over the wall. Paranoia now coming out. It's a shutdown though for Yusa, who's gonna continue firing out. It was a Dragon Axe plays in full parts, of course. Gonna still come out for now. M-Test. This goes low, but stays alive. Reset coming through from Zombie, who's got the teleport, but the jungler being down is so critical. Godsent still going to be able to walk over towards this Drake and secure it and prevent Soul from Dusty.
Yeah, should be able to pick this one pretty easily, but there may be a fight on the back of it because Sawyer is spawning pretty soon. Although I think Dusty make the correct decision to just up the back away. Honestly, I feel like that play from Sawyer, pretty opportunistic. The setup wasn't really there. He saw Yusa, went for the play, didn't have the follow-up though, and the fact that Yusa has Flash and Gale Force obviously means there's a low chance of you really finding the solo kill, especially when Aesthetic is nearby with the Lamb's Fight. So, bit of a misplay. Saw a window, wasn't really the one that his team could facilitate, but Aesthetic, he's found a window.
Oh boy, he's looking dead to rights. Will just about survive the dance. I was just shot. Oh my days, Aesthetic is going to be absolutely furious with that.
Yeah, I think he assumed that he had the kill with his E proccing, but then obviously when it hadn't, he was like, oh, well, I guess I got to flash in. But I think if he'd sort of flashed initially to make sure the damage was there, he would have got the kill. But a late sort of reaction to that, and kind of similarly, so he ends up botching that play, so the opportunity for.
Oh, that's going to be a bit of a kicker there. Nearly gets them. It's been a bit of a go-to for Kindred this game. Aesthetic trying to bully Zombie out the side lane best they can. This time, it does not work out. Second items now starting to come through. No transformation, importantly, for M-Test right now on the Muramana. And Dusty just hanging around towards the top side now, trying to make Godsent think twice about whether Baron could be going down right now.
Yeah, and just controlling the vision. Oh,
never mind that. I was about to let you talk, and instead they're going to try and engage, but a nice solar flare to disengage alongside the Dragon's Rage is going to prevent Godsent from finding their mark.
I like the use of the Karma AoE speed and that Shurelya's to get in range, but they're really able to find anything. 610.
He's thinking about this one. 610 does find the Everfrost, but now he's had to go Golden Wars trying to get out. Goes back in, finds a big 5-point strike. Still not going to be quite enough. The shields from Karma doing as much as they can. Paranoia now comes into the backside. Hasn't quite found the kill. Shut down for Aesthetic onto Wars. He throws down the Lamb's Fight now. Aesthetic trying to stay alive best they can. So much damage coming out for Lou. Trying to survive. Double kill for Aesthetic. Oh my days, he's going wild. He was angry after Zombie survived the last time. And Godsent find a massive fight.
And that's enough. That's enough of a man advantage. They should just be able to head over to this Baron and pick it up. It's a little bit risky with the Varus arrows flying over the wall, but with the Karma shields, they should be able to do this pretty healthily. And yeah, it was Dusty overcommitting to a fight, not able to kill the critical targets, and we saw that value with the Karma shielding, with the sustain, with the Lamb's Respite, and it allows Godsent to win the extended fight on that one.
They get the Baron out of it as well. They can reset. Dragon's not up for a couple more minutes yet, so they've got free time to shove. Replay coming up, though, Orcs, so tell me how the hell this one happened.
Yeah, so just Warsy's engaging, very early in the fight, and the follow-up isn't really there. It's a very staggered engage. We then see the Nocturne come in, but it's very split and divided. And as a result, you see all these low health bars, but no one going down. But with this composition, low health bars are fine. The Lamb's Respite obviously means they're nowhere near as low as you'd think. They're not going to go down. The Karma shielding is able to keep them alive. Because they're still alive, still outputting damage and sustaining, they're still functioning almost at full strength. So Godsent able to navigate that one. And I feel like for Dusty, you need to kill targets. You can't just get them low. They have to go down for your comp to win out.
You need to get those executes, and they might be looking for some big leather shoes. Kubu goes very low and is immediately done exactly that. He's executed, and one of the Barons is off the table, but Godsent are going to use this opportunity to shove up through mid and try and get some more towers here. They are at a mana disadvantage, and here comes the paranoia. They really are done. Good lord! Aesthetic is executed as well. Shut down to come through. Yusa now trying to cleanse and run away, but it is a split fight. A run away from Godsent, who just can't run fast enough. 610's going to go golden, but I don't think it's going to buy all that much time. He's dead as well. Baloo picks that one a little bit more than the bare necessities for the support of Dusty.
And you saw the difference there. They killed targets. They found the Renekton on a pick. Really solid play to find that window, making it a 4v5 and give them a numbers advantage. And then Godsent didn't respect that. Still decided to over push and ended up getting caught out. Critically, Aesthetic's Lamb's Respite only had a couple of seconds before being off cooldown when he went down. And that was a big difference maker. Aesthetic, no ult to keep him alive. No strong Renekton on your front line. And they just started falling apart. And you can see Kubu, you know, you have to respect these pockets of vision. When you reset after getting a Baron, a really good play for the team is to find those pockets and get a kill. But here, Lamb's Respite only just coming up now after the Kindred has died. And then it's very easy for Dusty just to clean up these kills. The difference here is people are going down. They're not surviving on that low HP.
Yeah, unfortunate there. It was one mid lane fight into another mid lane fight, and one went one way, one went the other, and it's Dusty currently with the advantage. But unfortunately, looks like we need to break out some more chocolate orcs. Another game pause.
Yeah, another one. Just kind of when tensions are high as well, but we have to kind of take stock of things. Critically, 40 seconds on the next dragon. Teams still, it's a little bit gold favored towards Godsent, but I feel like both teams really in some comfortable positions with regards to power spikes. And this next dragon fight likely to be another big one. Would be Soul once more if Dusty can't secure it, and obviously Godsent in a position where they can try and stop that.
Yeah, sounds like there were some mouse issues on one of the teams. That's just been resolved, so we should be heading back in very shortly. And as Orcs just been laying out, both these teams right now really eyeing up that next Drake. Because if Dusty get it, it's Mountain Soul, and Godsent are going to be in a lot of trouble. Yusa has got himself a stopwatch to try and survive best they can right now. I don't blame him, considering who's diving in his face.
A lot of value. We also see the stopwatch from Aesthetic. I feel like in these big game-changing fights, buying things like stopwatch, even potions as well, really valuable at having that immediate spike to give you the assistance. Do you see Dusty in a more comfortable position here? They have control over the area and are trying to maintain it. And we really need Kubu and this Renekton to move over. He's the only one who can actually face check in this situation and not just get absolutely pummeled.
That is a roller coaster of a goal graph. Has now kind of gone back towards a little bit more even. Still Godsent with a couple thousand gold in the advantage because of the Baron, but as everybody died, it's just so even coming into this fight. And Warzy on the flank could be pretty scary. Alongside the Varus poke, it's just been nasty to watch right now. Dragon down to 4,000 HP. Baloo goes in. Paranoia now pop Warzy at the backside. Forces Yusa to go golden. Aesthetic gets Baloo all the while though, and over the wall with perfect execution. Warzy goes golden, staying alive, is traded back by 610 though. But Zombie's in as a killing spree, and this time it's an absolute bloodbath, and the Colosseum of the Mounted Dragon Pit is there for Dusty to come out on top. They get the Mountain Soul. Warzy gets a double, and there might not be Baron on the table, but they're going to feel real happy with this game state now.
Yeah, massive team fight win, and they are able to secure that the Mountain Soul. What am I talking about? Mountain, not as sort of impactful as it was 5 minutes ago, but still very relevant here with that extra shielding. Godsent, a little bit messy in that team fight. Ended up a bit split. We wanted them to be more grouped. They didn't have anyone dealing with the Akali, and actually there was a bit of a critical error that occurred in the midst of that fight. We're going to sort of see it in the replay here. So you can watch Yusa, and he ends up being completely split from the team in this situation with Warzy running him down. I think the paranoia didn't help, but he uses his stopwatch, and then he flashes over. I expected the Lamb's Respite to come out there, but Warzy quickly executes the Kindred, and so that element of safety isn't there for the rest of the backline, and so it allows Dusty to clean up. Warzy, absolute MVP of that fight by shutting the Kindred down before the ult could be used.
Yeah, no safety to be found, no respite. Warzy gets rid of the Kindred, and Dusty now
that's the name of the ult, respite.
I know. See, I was quite nicely phrased. Thank you. I occasionally have my moments, but it's only few and far between. But that will be one of them. We'll hold them to that. All right, about a minute and a half until Baron, which I suspect will be our next point of contest. But Dusty, yes, the gold is pretty damn even at this point, but that Mountain Soul is just such a big deal. Yes, Lord Dominic's regards is built second by Yusa. Way back, started building towards that way back second item, like around the 4th Drake fight when they managed to get their own Mountain Dragon, but I don't think it's going to be enough, really. One Lord Dominic's regard versus all that shielding versus all that dive. It's getting a bit scary, Orcs.
Yeah, I mean, particularly the Akali, Warzy, 3.5 items already, has actually opted for the stopwatch Sonya's combo, so even harder to deal with because you can buy 5 seconds of stasis where the enemy team essentially has to be ready for you to come out, but can't do anything to you. So Warzy is the big threat in the game at the moment, and if Godsent can't deal with this Akali, which we've seen kind of globally, Akali pretty hard to deal with at the moment, then they're in for a bad time. Right now, we see 610 potentially looking for a window to punish him, but he is just going to play that respectfully. But Godsent, you can see how tentative they are to push up at all.
And looking pretty scary. Nice Sawyer is around, but not much more to be found there. And just this Baron about to spawn in about 5 seconds. Big flash in. And Paranoia's popped as well, going very deep, though. Trying to stay alive on the one flank, though. 610 staying alive. Curtain Call now coming out. And a Paranoia in trade. That will be the stolen one from Silas. It's hijacked away. Akali still hopping around, doing their best to stay alive. 610 the backside with a massive Everprod. They get Sawyer. The jungler is dead again. And it's a shutdown for Aesthetic onto Zombie. Still chasing the remaining members of Dusty. Trying to get out the Mountain Soul. Not doing enough to keep them alive. A double for Aesthetic. They get a hold of the Varus as well. And Warzy is going to try and get out and reset alongside Baloo. But a big, big fight for the side of Godsent.
Yeah, no members left for Godsent, and they can just head straight over to that Baron and pick that one up. Akali won't be enough as the soul carrier to take it down, and Warzy not even up to reset. I gotta say though, I am loving these team fights. You can see the sort of split and what the teams are trying to achieve with the compositions. We're so close in gold. It's coming all down to execution. And this time, Godsent with a bit of executors, even with the Mountain Soul against them. The initial engage from Dusty wasn't enough to find a significant advantage, and Godsent looked to re-engage. They'll take that mid tower as well, but just really well played.
And once again, it feels like pretty much it's one team fight one by one side, then one team fight one by the other side. No one seems to be able to chain advantages together as this fight in mid lane happened.
Yeah, so many engage tools thrown down there to try and get on this backline, but they're unsuccessful. They aren't able to reach it, and Warzy isn't on a flank critically here. He's approaching from the front. So Godsent, their backline's safe. They can now re-engage. The Kindred ult is still available, so Aesthetic feels confident to walk forwards and play aggressive in this situation, and he's doing so much damage now. It's very easy cleanup, and I mean, Dusty are fortunate they only lose 3 because they weren't in a position to fight off the back of that. Dusty need to win the fight off the back of their ultimate and get those kills, chain them together, and they just weren't able to do so there.
I mean, you said it earlier, you kill someone or you lose the fight. You need to go for the executes, not just chunks. And now M-Test is in trouble, stepped too far forwards to clear the wave. And that was just a mistake, frankly. Now the curtain call's coming out and Zombie's trying to run away as fast as they can. It's just the soul shield that's taken off, and Godsent with the man advantage with the AD carry down to shove in and at least take an inhibitor. They might look to try and end it, Orcs.
Yeah, this could be a bit tricky. They do have Baron minions to help tank it, but Warzy going in.
Oh my days, that was the damage they were looking for. Golden already is 610. The Lamb's fight afterwards keeps them alive. Apologize, that was Kindred who went golden, not 610. And does get out, but that will be stopwatch and Lamb's Respite burn. Still sticking around though. This is a bit risky.
Very risky.
All right, Dusty gets rooted in place. There is Sawyer. Now in again goes Warzy. So much damage, but Zombie has to have the Sterix pop. The Shroud comes down for Warzy, who's hopping around, trying to chain all those empowered autos and the 5-point strikes together. One Nexus turret dies, but Karma's going to shield and speed them all away. Dusty might try and execute. Oh my days, the teleports are there as well. Warzy from the backside alongside Zombie. Paranoia is not quite available for the flash. Is Shuriken flip back out. They're trying to catch him out, but Kumu is so low. Yusa as well trying to keep out. Aesthetic is dead in the mid lane. How is it always the mid lane? Warzy misses the Shuriken flip. Yusa throwing out a deadly first, stepping forwards. This is a bit risky from the AD carry on the other side. You can see fleeing away is 610 shut down. Silas taken out by Warzy, and now Svene and Yusa are the 2 members remaining. I don't know, Elder Dragon's alive. They've got to keep maybe contesting. Yusa has to flash there from the remaining CC. Sonic Wave misses, as does the piercing arrow. It's a Baron power play along the screen, but it doesn't feel like it as Warzy eviscerates Karma. No shield allowed. Jin falls as well, and now they can just turn to Elder Drake. How do these fights keep going one way than the other, Orcs?
I mean, I feel like teams are just completely forgetting their win conditions here. Godsent pushing up so deep in the enemy base. Realistically, you're not going to end there. You can't force through 2 Nexus towers with the enemy team there, not when the game is this even, especially when any damage you do, they just go back to the fountain, they reset, and it set them up for that double TP flank that came in, we get to see here. Look at the low health bars on Godsent. They're in such a bad position, and this is a minute before Elder Dragon. They could have just reset after the inhibitor. They could have been ready for the dragon fight. Instead, they greed so hard in this situation, and it's just such an easy cleanup for Dusty here. I mean, even with Yusa with some fancy footwork, what I also don't understand is why is he trying to contest here? You're not going to 1v5 in this situation. It's not happening. It's just not going to happen on, especially Jin, who's an immobile champion. And by you doing this play, not only are you obviously letting them take the Elder Dragon, but you're also losing your GA. You're also dying and giving them more gold. It was just poor play compounded by poor decisions to follow it up.
That's a very frank way of discussing it, but I have to agree.
Well, mince words.
Agree with you, mate. And look, oh my days, 8-1-8 on the Akali, and showing that in the damage graph. That is a little bit ugly to look at. Yikes, that's a lot of damage.
Yeah, I mean, Warzy is having sort of the best performance we've seen from anyone in Dusty this entire split. Honestly, really good on this Akali. And more gold being thrown towards him just means he's going to be doing more and more damage right now. Dusty in a pretty confident position. And with this Elder Dragon, Godsent have to play defensive. They have to try and clear the waves, but avoid a fight at all costs.
I'm getting whiplash looking at that gold graph. It's been up and down and back up again right now for Dusty, who are going to be shoving in here. They don't have Baron, but they have got the Elder Dragon. And yes, there's a GH for Kindred. Yes, there's a Lamb's fight, but I really don't think you want to be fighting the Elder Dragon right now at all. They just need to clear waves.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, is that Elder's great in fights, but when it comes to sieging, Dusty aren't really able to do so much as the waves will just get cleared. They want a fight to start, but as long as Godsent are pretty restrained, they should be okay. See Dusty Sawyer taking a lot of damage off the back of that ult.
Yeah, he has got that Starax now pop, but he's going to be able to heal back up well enough, and they get an inhibitor. They can back away. It's still 40-odd seconds until this Baron. Warzy does get rooted,
wow.
But...
How amazing is this? They take the inhibitor when there's a neutral objective spawning in a minute, and they back away. Wow.
No. Surely, isn't the play there to continue shoving onto the Nexus towers? Isn't that?
I mean, clearly they've learned from Godsent's mistakes, so maybe we ain't going to make that one in the first place, but Dusty do the correct thing, reset, get back on the map, have control of the Baron area. Now Godsent, it's very difficult to push up when you have no vision, when you're up against these tools from Dusty to engage, so they have to be so careful here. And oh, look where we are again. We're in the mid lane.
Warzy's on a flank. That sounds like a golden combination for Dusty. They're going to step in. 610 is there, but that is a well-placed blue trinket to buy his space. Kubu's going to get rooted, but he's got himself a Dominus hopping into the backline to get onto M-Test, who does escape for now. Paranoia now popped. Remember, there's still a stolen one on Silas. You've got to check those colors, guys. It gets real confusing. Warzy's now in a potentially difficult position, but hops over the wall for the second half. A perfect execution. That empowered piercing arrow, though, is going to force 610 to reset. Does have a teleport, but now look who's gone to golden. It's Sawyer in a spot of difficulty, but gets to safeguard away. Zombie is going to try and back out now as well, and Godsent have got pressure in mid lane as Godsent, Aesthetic in particular, really feeling this. The teleport is deep, but with the Baron spawning, maybe they can look to reset. Not in the mid lane again. Warzy stepping forward, so much damage, but doesn't quite manage to get the Kindred, and I think I can breathe. Orcs, give me something to set up for here.
Yeah, I mean, that was a tense one. Dusty committing a lot of those ultimates, not able to find the kills, and so they have to back away. Aesthetic, with all those ults down, feeling confident with his Lamb's Fight available, but the effect execution, back up. Chains of corruption, back up. Dusty are now ready for a fight again. Things are once more on a knife's edge.
My days.
Nothing really gained for Godsent, even though they came out ahead.
Yeah, Aesthetic has managed to heal up at least off the jungle camps. They don't have to back. That is very important. Sawyer at the top of your screen now starts up the Baron. Warzy once again looking for, you guessed it, a flank. that 610 is now coming. He's got the Varus ultimate. He's got the Chains of Corruption to maybe try and root people in place. Baloo is going to try and go in, though. That is a golden Silas trying to stay alive, but Warzy gets a hold of Karma. No more shield. 610's out, but look who's in the backline alone. It's the Crocodile trying their damn best to do their stay alive, and so Warzy gets a hold of Aesthetic. It's Yusa trying to stay there. 610 on inches of HP. He's outside of the Kindle. Let's go back in, healing as much as they can. Everybody's so low. It's a double for Lee Sin, though, who pounds the ground and gets that one. Baloo chasing forward to Yusa, who's going to find a shuriken to the face, but stays alive alongside Sawyer, who is also inches low. Warzy's resetting, and I think with only the Jin alive, maybe they can look to shove in. Flash goes wide from Mtess. He's still going to try and drive. Will not get with the piercing arrow. Teleports. Yusa going to be able to back towards the fountain and maybe hold on, but with so long death time, it's 30 seconds on most members. I think it's done, Orcs.
Yeah, I mean, this is it. They can't defend. They're going to be able to end the game, and Dusty claiming the win against Godsent, and such a nail-biting game. Gotta say, Warzy playing his heart out in that one to get that victory that was much needed for the team. Godsent, I mean, we all know where it went wrong. I think we all could sort of attribute that one critical moment.
I think you may have mentioned it once or twice, Orcs, just a little bit. I think anybody who has not been watching this will get the idea that if you shove in 2 Nexus turrets when you're kind of a bit low on the health bars, it gets a bit risky. Either way, we're going to cut to a break here, and the desk will take it away afterwards. See you soon.